Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to this intro webinar, and thanks for taking the time to join us on this beautiful Friday morning. In the next 30 minutes, Akshay and I are going to take you through a high-level overview of the Customer Centricity 101 course that we've just launched. But before the intros, just a couple of things. We'll invite you, there's a Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen. Please submit any questions that you have. You can either do it by using your name or anonymously, and we'll try and cover those off. We'll leave about 5-10 minutes at the end to cover off any questions that you have. Just to let you know also that this is being recorded, so the webinar will be available. We can share the link if you want to review some of the content we cover, or if you want to pass it on to colleagues or friends. And we'll leave you with a brief survey. We'd love your feedback, and it helps us improve and deliver relevance to you. So before we go any further, who are we? We've decided to introduce each other. So everyone, please meet Akshay. And Akshay and I are both principal innovation consultants with Assurity. A little bit about Akshay. He is fascinated by how things work and perpetually curious about designing better experiences for people. He's worked across various industries and organizations, both public and private sector, and here and overseas. So Akshay's superpower is combining his left and right brain perceptual thinking, which fosters a unique bridge between customer insight and technology delivery.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. And this is Cole. So just to talk a bit about Cole, she has worked with numerous businesses like me as well, spanning across public and private sector and even offshore, where she fosters high-performance teams and empowers them to deliver innovative products, services, or better environments. Her superpower is her mix of provocation and empathy, where she aligns teams around the customer value delivery while coaching the leaders to overcome the inertia that can often stifle innovation in most of the organizations. Before we get into the course, let me talk a bit about Assurity for people who might have not heard about Assurity. So we are a New Zealand delivery consultancy helping businesses make their future. With about 15 years of trading and operations nationally, we have provided software consulting, change delivery, and innovation services to a wide range of organizations here in New Zealand and also globally. And how do we do that? So some of you, I think, on this panel might have been on the Create What Matters webinar yesterday, where Simon and Shikhar shared how human-centered design and quality assurance can be integrated to accelerate software delivery and create a beautiful customer experience. So we at Assurity take a human-centered approach to everything we do. And we have consultants who specialize across these four work streams. Starting with design and innovation, this is the space where Cole and myself work. We work with organizations to highlight their customers' unmet needs and deliver a compelling experience that their customers will love. Our business optimization team, whereas unlocks value in your business processes to enable higher productivity gains and provides a platform for business growth. The third one being employee growth. They are the enablers to high performance culture within organizations that allow it to respond to disruption and thrive through innovation. And the last one is the digital delivery space, where they enable continuous delivery and operations for the clients' digital products at pace, with quality, and at scale. And education and training are not new to us at Assurity. We've been many of you, I think some of you, not many, maybe some of you have been through some of our courses already that we are offering. And we've been supporting professionals like you for more than 15 years now, and we have a very high customer satisfaction for our courses. And we believe one of the biggest factors for that is that all of our training is delivered by active practitioners. So like Cole and myself are both working on multiple projects at the moment, supporting businesses, different businesses on their innovation journey. So we can bring in real world examples and stories from the field into our trainings and whatever we are sharing.
So what do we mean by customer centricity? Well, it's seeing the world through the eyes and the hearts and minds of your customer. It's understanding their perceptions, their expectations, and uncovering their latent needs. Now, statistically, we know that customer design-led organizations increase their revenue and shareholder returns at nearly twice the rate of their industry counterparts. So many of us have read those case studies around, the world-leading organizations, the Netflixes, the Amazons, etc., who are unwavering around their customer focus. But the methods and the tools that they use are all accessible to your business today. So on the course, what we'll do is we'll provide you tools, scaffolding, but more importantly, like a platform to experiment and play and understand how to maximize their potency so that you can deliver customer-centric step change into the DNA of your function or ideally your organization. Just looking there, that image there is us in action with New Zealand Post, where we were behind the scenes in the bowels, trying to really get into the customer space and see it through their lens. But somebody asked us the other day, what was your motivation to design this course? And one word answers that: demand. Customer requests. What was behind those requests are the key, a lot of issues that customers are facing. Often not being able to define what the problem that you're trying to solve actually is. No value proposition. We had an example of a company where they had developed an app to incentivize business people to use bars and cafes, but the incentive was around cheap Wi-Fi and discounted coffees, etc. But there was no value proposition behind it, because I don't know if you've ever tried to, run a Zoom meeting from a busy cafe, but it's not optimal, and the Wi-Fi is free anyway. So just no clear, not being thought through. Building skill and capability is another one. People get frustrated with their work. They don't understand sometimes why they're designing something, and they have no faith that it's going to be implemented. And also a lot of initiatives and work streams being prioritized, but all based on assumption. And as we know, assumptions, the absolute killer within a business. So there's a whole myriad of other reasons, but those were the key ones. Our big one is often we've derived customer empathy. We've gone out and talked to customers, but we didn't get any meaningful insights. So what went wrong? So what I might do is I'll give you a quick overview, maybe just a one-liner of the structure of the course, and then actually I'll deep dive a little bit further into each module. So as you can see here, there's 5 modules that we would take you through. The format would be, if it runs in person, it would be over 2 full consecutive days. And if we're running it virtually, which we can easily flip into, then it would be 4 half days. And just a precursor, right now with us being in red, we'd be running anything that was public, we'd be running virtual until there's another government update and things change. In-house, it could be different. So if you want to speak to us about that, we can go through your company and our company's process. So let me briefly just rattle through these modules. So the first one is it's the key elements to set up. And this is really important. So we'll explore the significance of the setup process and discovery around the project, some of the critical elements to ensure that you're going to be successful. And it does pay to take time in that space. Second module is around eliciting your customer insights and pain points. And this is really where the rubber hits the road. It's a deep dive into how you work with customers to uncover their uncomfortable truth around their current experience and their latent needs. And once we've got that, we can move into ideation and prototype, which is the third module. And this is where I told you about actually superpower. This is where it comes into being. And we help you unleash your creativity to generate ideas and prototypes from those deep insights and themes and principles that you've uncovered during module 2, during your customer observations and interviews. And then we take that into module 4. And I think this is the one I'm most excited about. Having led an innovation function within a corporate, this is often where the value of your good work diminishes or falls over. So in this module, we're going to give you a know-how around rapid customer test cycles, which will support you to validate, refine your prototypes, sometimes kill them off. And then we need to pull the whole thing together, because the 5th part is you've then got to get all that good work over the line, and often involves some sort of presentation, some sort of collation of the findings. So all too often, those really great ideas you have get left on the shelf. We've certainly seen large companies who've done great prototyping, and then it somehow BAU takes over and nothing is derived from it. So there's no value comes from it. So how do you make sure that you bring it all together, and what we'll do is we'll leave you equipped with like a broader lens of not only your customer desirability, but you'll be able to talk about the other aspects of HCD, being what was the viability and feasibility of the options you're putting forward. And you'll also be coached around the essential elements to ensure that your audience and stakeholders have your full attention when you're preparing and delivering the solution to them. So that's in a nutshell. I'm going to turn over and give you a poll question before we start module 1. So I said that module 1 was around setup. So quick question, you've got 20 seconds, there you go. What is the optimal number of customers to interview to enable relevant insights to be elicited? So if you want to choose one.
Cool. This is the results.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at that. Interesting. Cool. Awesome. So the answer, I guess, when you're conducting in-depth, like ethnographic research, we find that time and time again, the optimal number is somewhere around 10. And I guess the cutoff point is when it starts to feel like you can almost predict the commentary from the people you're interviewing, or you hear the same things, you kind of know you're there. We have on several occasions gone way over that, and the value as you keep going is significantly reduced. But I guess it's the art of getting meaningful insights, and those would come from asking the right questions and seeking out a diversity of customers. You want an attractor, you want a distractor, you want a very broad spectrum. Just for example, Akshay and I are working right now with a very large health organization, and we're right in the middle of talking to their patient groups. So we've been talking to refugees, people with various disabilities, students, migrants, Pacific, rural, you name it. It's very, very vast. And what we get from that is very different viewpoints and a real richness and understanding of needs. So in module 1, we'll take you through how to set up a project for success. We'll cover off planning tools. What are the different elements you'll need to consider and include? We'll show you how to gather the right information to ensure you're aligned and that you get the right project challenge. We'll uncover constraints. We'll help you define your customer types. As I say, that diversity is key, who your stakeholder groups are and who can support you. So this builds a really solid foundation to commence your empathy, your customer work from.
Moving to module 2, where it's about empathizing to discover the uncomfortable truth. Like Cole mentioned earlier, this is where the rubber hits the road. And before I talk about the module, there's another whole question for you guys. What are some of the core elements to consider when gaining insights from customers?
Yeah, and please note this is a multiple choice, so you can select more than one option. Right. I'm going to end the poll now. And these are the results. Akshay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. So yeah, it's all of them and potentially more. We're trying to gain these insights from our customers, and you need to have those mindsets in back of your mind. And in this module, we basically take you through the process of defining the problem from the customer's perspective. And how you do that is you lean in and listen. You're watching and talking to your customers. And when we do that, we need to go beyond our own assumptions and keep an open and curious mind to gather insights from our customers' life. We call this discovering uncomfortable truth. We call it uncomfortable truth because this can sometimes be validating some of our assumptions, but most often we notice that we kind of identify some hidden needs from our customers, which are really latent opportunities for us to better improve customers' experience. The empathy for customers' problems often provides teams and individuals with objectivity to make better decisions going forward. And we notice time and time again, teams anchor back to what they heard through these customer interactions and holding on to that and then making decisions. We also notice that most often we see the problem statements that we start with get refined after the interaction with customers. Like I think Cole mentioned earlier, you might start a project with a problem that customer wants X, Y, Z. We assume that I think Cole gave an example of where they wanted to provide, there was no proper value prop, they had some solution. So you go there assuming that customers want an app to do X, Y, Z, but when you actually go and talk to customers, you realize actually the problem is something completely different. So that's what really helps with these interactions.
So the next module covers off turning those insights into ideas and then prototyping. So question for you, how important do you think drawing skills and mock-ups are to brainstorming new ideas?
There you go, Cole. That's the results.
Great, thanks guys. So yeah, while the quality of your drawing skill isn't important, the act of drawing, like even squiggles and stickmen can and cutting things out, making mock-ups, etc., engages your right brain and opens up your mind to access your own creativity. So it is important to encourage participants to just go there, even if no one understands your drawing. If you do, that's good enough. The process, your brain's woken up and it's actively, in the we call it left, right brain, whole brain thinking. So we'll help you build that creative conference and leverage good investigative work when when you're building like creative solutions. And the idea is that we'll do it in volume and then we'll prototype them. And that's quite an unusual, it's a cadence that a lot of people aren't used to. Just wanted to go back to that point Akshay made. I think it might be on the next slide, but just wanted to show you an example of an instance where the problem you believe you have at the beginning of a project, you realize after talking to customers, it's inaccurate. I think it might be the next slide, actually. If you.
Is it the module 3 slide?
Yeah, I was just going to mention.
Let me stop sharing and share again. It's the right one on my screen.
All right, sorry. So just wanted to give you an example. So we did a piece of work a year or two ago for Auckland Transport, and the issue they had was on their shared paths with an increasing number of incidents on the shared path. And the assumption was that it was due to increase in speed from bikes, micromobility, e-scooters, etc. But after talking with customer groups, and those customer groups were cyclists, dog walkers, pedestrians, runners, buggy pushers, children, school bus, we realized that nobody actually specifically mentioned speed as the issue. What the apparent issue was proximity to speed. So I don't mind you going fast, but just don't do it right beside me. Now that's a completely different problem to solve. It's subtle, but it's very different. So then you're talking about not slowing people down, you're talking about keeping people apart. So this is just, that image there is just a image of one of the prototypes that we trialed on the path, and that was training people to use their bell so that if they're on a bike, they could notify people in front of them that they were on the way and about to overtake them, to reduce the anxiety and the lack of safety that people were feeling. And one of those prototypes alone, incidentally, so these are all low-fi, low cost, it reduced double overtaking on blind corners from 13% to 1%. So they had real impact once we got the problem defined properly.
The next module is validating to build confidence in future opportunities. So this is where I think what Paul mentioned is putting it in front of our customers and getting feedback. So there's a question here which says, do you or your organization fail slowly or quickly?
Actually, these are the results.
Yeah, thanks. That's good. So there are a couple of things. And then, first of all, that's quite an unusual question to ask. But psychologically, there are a few things that go behind this. One is when you spend more time on your idea or a concept, you start getting attached to the concept, and you're not willing to hear real feedback from customers. So we want to put it in front of the customers as soon as possible and get their feedback. Because when we are doing this, I personally feel this is a second round. As we are going through the entire innovation process, what we are trying to do is remove as much assumptions we have in the entire thing, be it assumptions about what customers need or assumptions about what solutions we are proposing. So one of the ways to remove assumption is to actually put it in front of people and get feedback. And we call it fail fast and learn, or you could do it fail slow and burn. So which is, you're taking so long to kind of develop your concept and then put it in front of customers that you spend a lot of time, and by the time you put it, and if you get some negative feedback, you've wasted a lot of time on those concepts. So speed reduces the impact of failure and leads to explicit lessons learned. The only thing to keep in mind the other thing to keep in mind while validating the concept is to let customers experience the solution. It is like the term goes, fake it till you make it. So your customers are not visionary. They can't see your concept or understand your concept until you kind of take them on that journey. So help them to help you. Here is an example of this prototype that we did for Auckland Zoo. So we prototyped a self-service kiosk, and we had the customers come in as they enter the zoo, and they kind of interacted with it as if it was real. And to the point that customers thought it was a live and working machine, when in fact it was just a mock-up screen. So you can see there someone is actually trying to tap and pay for the tickets through the kiosk, but it was actually just a screen on an iPad. So you want to take them on the journey. That's where you will actually get the honest feedback.
Cool. And the fifth module was getting your outputs over the line. So question for you this time, what are the core ingredients required to support stakeholder adoption around your business case? And this is a multi-choice answer.
Can you All right, cool. I'm just going to end the poll now in the interest of time. Okay, I'll share the results.
Okay.
There you go.
Right. Yep, we're all switched on Friday morning. Yes, all of the above. They're all core ingredients. Remember that your business case is your ticket to progression. So, often you have one hit at delivering it. And if you blow it, well, that's a really tough place to come back from. So how do you ensure you create content that speaks to all of your stakeholders? So we'll take you through a step-by-step process to pull that content together, highlight the impact, the pathway, set recommendations, and even a backlog so that you're presenting it in a concise and compelling way.
So I'll just, I think we'll just, won't go into the case study. We would like to hear questions. So these were all the 5 modules that we have. And I've got our contact details here. So if someone wants to reach out to one of us, there are contact details here, reach out to us. We are happy to answer any questions or clarify anything. We've got on our course page, if you go to our course page that's on the screen, you will see we've got 3 dates that we have scheduled the course for. So if you're interested, and for the first one is at the end of March. And if you're interested, if you register now, you might avail early bird discounts. And like Cole mentioned, if you want to run this as a private course for your organization in-house, we do that as well. So
yeah,
so open for questions.
Yeah, Akshay and Cole, there is actually a question that's raised by Marco. He mentioned that research insights gained, in his opinion, are only as good as the questions. Does the course deal with finding the balance between open-ended and leading questions?
Yeah, I can take that, Cole. So yes, Marco, that's a really good question. So as part of our first module, we are going to go into that detail and kind of framing the questions, identifying the right. And you're right that like Cole mentioned, asking the right question and probing, going to the right contacts, right, identifying the right audience and asking the right questions. Those 2 are the most important ones. If you have to get insights with, like what Cole mentioned, having 10 as a good number, that only works if you've got the right audience and the right questions.
Oh, I have another question that was also brought up. The participant asked, can I bring my own problem to solve during the course if I'm already going through trying to fix a problem within my organization?
Yeah, we would, as part of the course, the intention of the course is to get you familiar with the process, tools, and methods.
Yep.
And since it's a hands-on training, we'll be working through a problem at hand. So we'll have some challenges that we would predefine for the course. So participants would be going through that challenge. But if you have something, we can always bring it. You can bring it along on the training day, and we can evaluate on the day. We just want to ensure that since you will be working as a group in these trainings, everyone is able to participate. And if it's very specific to one industry and others are not able to participate, it might be a bit challenging, but we'll evaluate during the course.
Okay, so probably just one last question. I'm just conscious of time. Is what resources will I have after completing the course? Another question that was actually brought up to my attention.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the key outputs you'll have on the assumption that you complete the course is you'll be accredited. So it's a certified course. So you'll have an Assurity certification to validate that you have a core understanding of all of those modules. You'll also have the tools and templates that we're going to use throughout the course. You'll have access to those. And we'll be utilizing a combination, if it's virtual, of Zoom and Mural. And Mural is an interactive whiteboard. So you'll have a lifelong membership to that board to continue as a resource that you can go back and access at any time going forward. Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Ko and Akshay. I think that wraps up today's session. And I've just popped the webinar, post-webinar survey link into the chat. Be great to actually hear from all of you. And we will also be sending a copy of the recording to you guys this afternoon. Ko, probably over to you to wrap up.
Yeah, so we really appreciate your time this morning. I know we've all got busy schedules. You can see our email addresses there on the page. Please reach out to either of us. We're passionate about this stuff. We love it. We know some of you are too. So yeah, we'd love to engage with you going forward. And any other questions that you have, just pop them through and we'll come straight back on them. But really appreciate your time and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.